Hi everybody, welcome back to another one of my videos. This one, I want to talk about timing. This is a term you hear a lot in different arts, and especially in the Bujinkan arts, we talk about timing, angling, distancing, and that sort of thing. But um, the the timing, the concept of timing is deeply rooted into strategy, and especially in Japanese martial arts. Timing is essential, but in my opinion, it's one of those things that's often overlooked in training. Even though we talk about it, I don't think I don't think people really do a deep dive into what that really means. Um, there is so much when it comes to timing that I think we don't appreciate or we don't spend enough time really truly trying to master what that is. Anybody who's experienced um, real fighting or even competition or anything like that, um, it becomes very messy, and timing itself becomes an essential component that even in Western martial arts or Western sports like boxing and things like that, timing is critical to the practice. They talk about the timing of how you move your feet, when to slip the jab, and being able to read the opponent's timing and rhythm and those kind of things. So timing is a very essential component to proper mechanics, proper ability to apply your training, that it deserves its own focus. And so today I wanted to just make a video to talk to you about three types of timing that are essential to understanding taijutsu a little bit deeper and being able to apply it. And I encourage you to take each one of these and really look at it in terms of your technique and how each one affects that technique. Um, so the three timings that you see in Japanese military strategy or in Japanese martial strategy, uh, you have Gonosan, and then you have Sen No Sen, and then Sen Sen No Sen. And essentially, what they are is after and simultaneous and before or taking the initiative. So the way they play out is actually quite interesting. And it's not just in how you receive an attack, but it also plays into how you deliver an attack. And there is a strong psychological component to each one of these as well. And also, there is a strong kind of sensory aspect to it as well, not just psychological, but that innate sense of things. So let's take a look at this first one, Gonosen, where and I'm just going to use this in the context of a singular attacker one-on-one, just to take this in a very linear approach. So let's say the attacker launches his attack. The attack is fully expressed. So in the case of a punch, the punch is fully extended, it's fully out there. Or the sword is fully out there, and you've avoided it, dodged, slipped, whatever, did it, even maybe even blocking it, whatever. But the attack itself is fully expressed. In that moment when it's fully expressed, that's when you do your move. So in this case, maybe it's attack the attack, because when the attacker is fully committed into the attack and he has fully expressed that attack, he is revealing his openings. Because you really, some people might argue with me on this, but if you fully attack, the more you fully attack, the more you are also opening up your vitals or exposing your vitals. So the attack strength and weakness component of the yin yo or yin yang, etc., that plays out. So the more you put into your attack, the more you are also allowing for an opening, or not allowing for an opening. That's kind of the wrong way to put it. You're 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 also you're also exposing more of that weak side. So by waiting till after the attack is fully expressed, you are also looking for that opportunity or that opening to then capitalize on. Drawing somebody into an attack, that sort of thing is a psychological component to this. We see this in terms of our daken uke or uche uke, where the opponent's punch comes all the way out, and once that arm is fully out there and you're moving out of the way, you then attack with the knuckles or the shito or whatever. You're attacking the weak parts of the arm or the body that are exposed. So that's an example of that. And it's very tricky because you have to be patient. You have to move in such a way that allows you to not only protect yourself, but also to have that patience to wait for that opening to appear. And once that opening appears, you take it. So that's an example of Gonosan. Sen Sen No Sen, which is simultaneous, that one is also tricky because you're matching timing. That's that is very tricky. And to match timing is to be able to control yourself at the tempo of your opponent so that as the attack is coming, you're also moving and striking the attack at the same time, or maybe receiving the attack and redirecting the attack. Because you know there are different ways. The Kihon Kata has three different methods, right? You attack the attack, you disperse the attack, and then the other one is to simply absorb the attack. So you have these three methods, but the timing of when to deploy those is what this Gonosan, Sen no Sen, Sensa No Sen is about, is when to deploy those. So in the case of Sen no Sen, it's simultaneous. It's you're receiving it, redirecting it, or attacking it at the same time that it is also expressing. It's in that middle point of expression, the point of, I don't want to say it's the point of no return, but it's during the attack, during at whatever point, but it's during the attack. And what's interesting on that is that when the person is launching their attack, um, they're moving in such a way to try to minimize the amount of exposure of their vulnerabilities. Maybe it's their center line, their seichusen or chusen, their center line, or maybe it's the vulnerabilities of the kyusho, of the body, the other parts of the kyusho. And so simultaneous movement is very difficult because not only are you trying to protect your own vitals, but you're also trying to look for and where to attack theirs at the same time that they're doing the same thing. They're attacking you while also trying to protect themselves. So this is a very, very tricky and difficult thing to master. And that's why it's important to train slowly and to train correctly. This is also why kata is important because they're prescripted moves for a reason. They're prescripted not only so you learn it, but also that if your partner is moving the same way each time and you're moving the same way each time, you can then work on that timing of simultaneous or maybe the before or after parts, but learning to simultaneously move with your partner is really important. And this goes into the next one, the Sensa No Sen, which is the preemptive attack or preemptive move that is, in my opinion, probably the most difficult from a psychological point of view because when you have prescripted attacks in a kata, you know that the person is going to do a tsuki. You know the person's going to do a stab, punch, strike, whatever. You know that's coming. So you know when they make that move, that's the move. And so to preempt that on a basic level is easy. You know that when they start moving, that's when you're going to move and you preempt that attack, whether it's to maybe take the space they need in order to launch the attack, or you attack the body of the person right when their mind clicks to them doing the attack. It's not during the attack, it's preemptive. That means if their attack is already launched, it's too late. You hit them at the moment they intend to attack. That's different. And that's what makes it psychological and perceptive. That once they decide to do the attack, that's when you hit them so that you deny them the ability to express that attack. But you got to do it the moment they make that decision. So that's why this is, in my opinion, the trickiest of the three, because when you talk about psychology and combat, trickery, deception, things like that come into play on the attacker's side as well. So that's the difference between a techie and an uke. Uke is there to receive your technique. Even though they're attacking you, they're receiving your technique. But a techie, a person that's an attacker, he's not interested in receiving your technique. He's interested in putting you on the ground or whatever. He wants his attack to succeed. So he's going to set it up so that it succeeds. And that's going to be maybe a fake, maybe a little bit of head dodge, maybe some deception, maybe there's another distraction. In real life application, there may be multiple people involved or a chaotic situation of some kind. And to know in that instant when to take the initiative and not actually be sucked into something that the attacker is actually drawing you into is very tricky. It's very tricky. So, Sensa No Sen is a highly complex strategy of timing. But when you take all three of these, and if you take one of our basic Kihon Kata, and I'm just going to use the example of Ichimonji no Kata, right? The attacker is going to come in with a tsuki, a lunge punch, and you are going to evade that and receive it with your arm, and then you are going to then create the opportunity or the lane of entry through the manner in which you receive, and then you are going to commit to an all-in approach with a shuto that's going to operate on that same line, one line. That's why it's Ichimonji. It operates on one line to receive an attack on one line. But when you factor in the three timings, that adds a whole new level to the technique. How would you do that after the technique? Before the person then goes to another attack or retracts his attack or whatever, how are you going to then do that? How are you going to do it simultaneously? And how are you going to do it when the attacker has the first decision to even launch their punch before they even begin the movement? How are you going to do that? That's a whole nother level of training. And then how do you do that in a more alive setting where the partner has the option to maybe do a jab and then a punch, or maybe they're going to kind of shift out a little bit and punch, come at you a little bit differently. You don't know when that's going to actually, that committed punch is going to happen. And when you add those elements all together, now you have something that's more real to what real combat is. So I hope you found this helpful. I know this is a topic that people are going to have different ideas about, but just on a very basic practical sense, I think that, in my opinion, it adds a splash of color to your training that takes it from just that rigid, regimented kind of training to actually takes it to the next level where it has life to it, because now strategy becomes involved and not just robotic dance moves. So I encourage you to play with that in your training, and not just with punches, maybe with weapons and things like that. But what is important, in my opinion, is to actually start with a base kata. Don't just do a pull out your butt jutsu kind of a thing in the moment, but actually take something that is pre-scripted and then play with the timings. And not just the timings of how you receive, but the timings of how you attack. So let's say in Ichimonji no Kata, you receive that arm, right? And in the receiving of the arm, when do you launch the shuto? Maybe you launch the shuto during the receiving of the arm. Maybe you launch the shuto because of your evasion. You don't need to block the arm. You just evade and fire the shuto. Or maybe you do the shuto as the punch comes. You can play with the different parts of this. Just be careful that you don't end up falling into the trap of wanting to feed your ego into coming up with things that really are not even the base kata. So that's the difference in the shuha stuff that you hear about, the verb form, break form, body the form, all this kind of stuff. Is that you want to make sure that you're also using these types of training tools to enhance your technique, but not completely change the technique, where now you're doing something completely different and you lost the whole point of why you're even doing it. So That's just a little sidebar advice, that I want to encourage you about. So if you're going to do Ichimonji no Kata, have it be Ichimonji no Kata. Don't start with that, and then when you start playing with all these variables, and now all of a sudden you're doing something that's completely different. Um, because then the question becomes, are you really learning anything, or are you just playing? Is it just your ego being a performer? And that's not really growth. There's no growth that's going to come from that. The only thing that's going to grow on that is your head. So, so keep it basic, but take these timings and play with them and play them. I always say start with the Kihon Kata. You can do it with Sanshin too, but just start with something that's basic and analyze those and how it affects the timing of things, and have that open communication with your partner, um, and see what you can learn from that. See what you can learn from that. I think you'll find it very enlightening. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll produce some more videos. I know I'm pretty lazy about getting some videos out there, but I'll try to produce some more videos and just kind of share little nuggets of wisdom. I'm not here to teach you Bujinkan Budo Taijutsu. That's why I'm not demonstrating any techniques. But I want you to consider these different things in your training, and hopefully you are training with somebody who's a qualified instructor. Even if it's not Bujinkan, if it's some other art, that's okay. But uh, but it's really important that you're training first with a qualified teacher, qualified licensed teacher, uh, and that you're training honestly, um, and so that when you apply these things to your training, you're getting the most out of it. Instead of this is not a replacement for training with a qualified teacher. I want to make that very, very clear. This is not a replacement for that. This is just again, me sharing some of my knowledge, uh, and hopefully giving you just some little extra something that you can apply to your training, and maybe you'll see your current training a little bit differently, or add a new layer to your training. And if you're an instructor, um, if you're a teacher, maybe this gives you some inspiration. Maybe you already know about it, and maybe you've just forgotten about it. And here I am, blah blah about it, and you go, "Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, let's apply this in our training." So that's kind of my purpose. Feel free to throw some comments down, share with me your experiences on this and your thoughts on this. I appreciate all comments. I even like criticism. That's fine too. Just keep it respectful, right? Um, and and let me know. And definitely, please subscribe, like, share, click the little bell icon so you know when I come on here again, and just definitely give me your thoughts on this. So I appreciate any support you've provided so far. There's been a lot of fantastic emails and comments from people, and a lot of private messages and stuff. I think people are shy to put things publicly, but that's okay. Um, my dojo, you'll see the link for my dojo. You're welcome to reach out to me through there. Um, but again, I hope you enjoy this, and don't let this COVID garbage get you down. Keep practicing. It's your responsibility to train. It's not your teacher's responsibility that you train. It's your responsibility to train. You are the Bu Geshi. You are the martial artist. So you need to ask yourself what kind of martial artist you want to be. If you're the right kind of martial artist, then none of this affects your training negatively. You just adapt and keep going. So that's my little quick 20-second soapbox on that. And again, thank you for your support, and stay happy, stay healthy, keep training. Cheers.